And welcome back. Now today I'm going to talk to you about some of the tools that I've bought, like this one here, that can really make a difference when you're creating projects. It's the difference between balancing something on the edge of your desk and getting the solder everywhere, or actually making something easily, and well, it just brings a pleasure to the whole business. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is this thing here, which it's called a strange third hand. And there's lots of these sort of things about at the moment. They all got these sort of twisty, bendy arms. And it's not a cheap item, even though this is, well, would you call it a clone? I'm not sure. This one's by Realac. Just about to see the name down there. And then I've got this one from Banggood. But of course there are other ones available made by different companies. Now I think the main one is probably Hobby Creek. They make 3 versions of their sort of third hand, and this is probably the Chinese variant of that. And I did think long and hard about this because the price is not cheap. So let's just have a quick look at where I got it from. Right, there we are. Now that's from Banggood, and it was on my wish list for, I would say, at least 2 months before I decided to get it. And I didn't pay that much for it either, actually. That price you see there has gone up quite a bit since I bought it. I actually bought it for, this is back in September now, and now it's mid-October. I bought it for £27.38. So as you can see, it's gone up by about £6 in that time. Now that might be because the pound's dropped in value against the dollar, which is what everything's based against, or it's just become more popular perhaps, I don't know. I don't think I would have bought it at 33, but at 27 I thought, well, I'm going to have a go. So there we are. You can make your own mind up whether you think that's worth the money or not. And of course you do get it in black. I think that refers just to the arms, does it? Oh, it doesn't actually show a change there. Look. Black, blue. Well, they all look the same, don't they? Anyway, it comes in various bits when it turns up, like that really, and then you just connect it up. Now you see there's a little extractor fan, which you can see quite clearly on here. So here's the little extractor fan. All they've done basically is secured it onto here, onto one of the crocodile clips. But it does actually work quite well. It's not the quietest fan in the entire world. I'll put it on in a minute just show you, but it does actually work. Now let me adjust the angle of the video, because at the moment I'm sort of looking top down at this just so that you can get a bird's eye view more. But it means I can't even sit at my desk properly because the video camera's in the way. So let me just adjust things and I'll be right back. So the fan's running and you might be able to hear it. Actually it's quieter than what I remember it. Or perhaps this room's noisy than I thought. I don't know. Anyway, that's sucking. Oh, you took my finger off. That sucks out that way, and if you put this close enough next to whatever it is you're soldering, it does actually take the fumes away. So how useful is this as a product, given that the closest I've ever come to one of these is one of those metal things with a big magnifying glass on it and a couple of crocodile clips and some metal arms, which frankly didn't work that well. That's why I was probably hesitant about buying this one. Well, this one actually works very well. I've got a bit of circuit board here. So imagine this is the circuit board you're going to solder. What I've found is, obviously you're going to put the components in and turn it sideways or upside down. Even one of these crocodile clips holds it quite well for soldering on, if you can imagine. And 2 of them, well, it's rock solid now, just with 2. And of course you have got, how many arms have you got here? You've got 6 of these arms, if you include this one here with the fan. So far I've only used this for one project, and that was the Xmas tree project, the Santa Light one. It worked very well. So currently I'm quite pleased with it. I reserve judgment going forward just to see how well the longevity of these crocodile clips and things last for. These clips incidentally do just pull out of these orange sockets. I'm hoping that as these get bent, as doubtless they will do, I can just buy new ones and the size is going to be sort of universal really. And these arms are quite, well, stiff and robust. I did read somewhere, I think probably the Hobby Creek site, that you can put some, not WB-40, the silicon spray in these arms to make them a little bit less stiff, but I've resisted that for now. And the base, of course, this is just a chunk of aluminium, I guess. It's metal, certainly, which keeps it nicely on the ground. So that's the first thing I bought, and it really does work. Now, there's a little tip I can give you if you're making stuff on the workbench or on your desk or whatever, and you're soldering away. The temptation, of course, is to get your circuit board, and we use this bit again. You stick that in there, say, you've got a circuit pushed through, but of course, as soon as you let go, gravity takes force and the circuit's likely, the component is likely to fall out. So you get your finger behind there to hold it in whilst you're soldering this side. You're bound to burn your finger, aren't you? So this is where, I mentioned this before actually in the previous video, this is where I use these things. These are used by bank tellers and people like that to flick through notes really quick. I have no idea what they're called. Finger rubber ends, I have no idea. But you put those on, then of course, because they're knobbly and they're sort of made out of rubber, you can just hold the component behind while you quickly solder one end of it, and then you can release it and it won't fall out. And of course you don't get burnt. It does stop feeling in this finger for delicate operations like feeling where the component is maybe, but it's enough, just enough, so you can hold it, solder one bit, let go, and then if you want you can remove it. And I use two on these two fingers here, because otherwise if I didn't put one on this finger, would you believe, instead of holding it like that, because you've got more feeling in this finger, you tend to do it like that, which sort of defeated the whole object. Maybe that's just my stupidity, I don't know. But those are really useful, and I guess they're a few pennies each. So that's the tip for holding the components on the board. And as I say, this strange third hand thing, you can get many clones of that, but you do want one that's robust. So look at the reviews, whichever site you go to, whether it's Banggood or Hobby Creek or any one of the others. Look at the reviews, and if you can get one for £10, it's probably not worth buying, because I guess these do cost a bit of money to make. Okay, that's that. I've got a few other things that I bought though as well, and they make my life easier as well. Let me clear this off, and I'll be right back in a second. Right, here's some other stuff that I got. Now this is in fact a flux pen. Hang on, let me get these things off my fingers. Yeah, right, this is a flux pen. You can get these on eBay and just about anywhere else, frankly. And all it is a bit like sort of a magic marker or felt tip or something. And you push this end down. I'm not going to do it upside down, stuff comes out. You push it down to get it started, and it soaks into this end. And you can put this flux then onto your printed circuit board or wherever you think you might have an issue getting the solder to take. I've used it a little bit now, especially on those little header pins, which I know I've got somewhere on here, because here we are. Right, so these header pins, which I'm sure you've got either with a kit with an Arduino or Nano or something, or just bought them separately. Some of them are not as equal as others, let's put it that way. And I've found that sometimes it's difficult to solder these when they've been pushed through the board. So you've got them through the board like that, just about make them out there, yeah. And of course you're holding them the other side with one of these on, so you don't go and burn yourself. And then you find that the damn things will not solder for love nor money. So what I tend to do is just get the old flux pen and just put it on one of these, and or take a very fine artificial wire wool and just give these a little bit of a clean, because I guess these could have been in a warehouse for months, or perhaps the quality of the metal just isn't that great. Don't pre-tin them though, whatever you do, because otherwise you'll never get them back through the hole. Talking of pre-tinning and cleaning, let me show you something else that would be really useful when you're doing this board. Now, I'm betting that this product isn't something you'd normally find in an electrician's or electronic engineer's cupboard, but believe me, it's extremely useful. This is steel wool, synthetic steel wool. Don't ever use real steel wool, whatever you do. You're in for a mountain of trouble with short circuits and things. This is synthetic steel wool though. Okay, this one's by 3M, but anything like that would probably work. And it comes in little pads like this. You can see where I've already used it on something. But this, when it's clean like this is brilliant for cleaning your strip board or circuit boards. And even if they look clean, I mean, this one looks clean. Like, even if I bring it up real close to the camera, that looks beautifully clean. You think, yeah, that's going to work. Wrong. This will tarnish pretty quickly. And if you give this a nice, good, clean, using the steel wool, synthetic steel wool, you'll find the solder will take to this like ducks to water. You just need to dab it on, it will just immediately solder. It really makes a difference. And these little troublesome header pins, I also find you can clean up like that. Just rub them like mad, stick the old flux pen on, put them through, and they'll solder a million times better than trying to do it like that. Because remember, heat's the killer. You put too much heat on this board and the strips will come up, or you'll get too much solder on. So preparation is the key for that. It only takes literally seconds to do, seconds. So I thought a practical demonstration might come into play here. So what I'm going to try and do is solder this little tiny header pin onto that variable that I've now cleaned with that scouring pad that I showed you a little while ago. So let's see if that works. Now, not only have I scoured this here, but I've also cleaned this little header pin up as well in the way that I demonstrated upstairs. So I'm just hoping that it's going to prove what I've been saying all along. So let's put the little fingertips on and get this under there. You see what I mean about sense of feeling? So I couldn't feel where the holes were anymore, but there we are. Let's assume that's where it's supposed to go. I have my solder ready to go. You can actually route this solder incidentally through these crocodile clips as well to give it a little bit of stability. So let's just try doing that. Let's just route it through this one here. Just hope I'm not juggling the camera too much. So there we are, that's through there. Assuming my soldering iron is hot enough. Yep, right, okay. So let's see if we can solder that on there. Right, okay, so once you've got the first one soldered like that, then you can let go, of course, because it won't fall out anymore. Now, I don't know if you saw that this little fan was sucking up at least some of the fumes. Let me just move that out of the way. Turn the light this way a little bit and just see if I can get some smoke coming up there. There, look, you see that? Look at that, it's quite, look at that, through the little fan. Hope you're catching that on the camera. Definitely sucking it up and out. There's no charcoal on this, of course, so it's not actually absorbing the fumes, it's just making sure they don't hang around here or end up in my nose. They get pushed whichever way the direction of that is. Right, one thing I didn't show you upstairs incidentally was this item here, which is a solder tip cleaner. You can get these all over the place now, and get refills as well. And if you see the solder tip there on my iron, it's full of rubbish old solder now and it's getting all black and funny. All you need to do on one of these is get this. This stands on your workbench like that, and you just shove this in here, any old how. And this sort of metallic, I don't know what they are, filings or something, I don't know. You do that and you end up with a perfectly clean soldering iron. It's pretty good actually. It's much better than what you might think it is. And they're pretty cheap as well. Certainly I'd say that was essential. And finally, this is never far from my side, mainly because I make so many mistakes. This solder mop is really good. Now, a few videos ago, well quite a few actually, I did a review of some stuff I got from Banggood, some thinner stuff, and that was absolute rubbish, frankly. The desoldering wick was already tarnished, and therefore it did anything other than desolder. But this solder mop stuff is brilliant, and you can get it in various widths. See, this is nice and thin, and you can see where I've already used quite a little bit at the front there. But it's great stuff, and it really does desolder well. I can probably give you a demo of this one here. Let's get this right under the camera. Right, that should be about right. All you do is place this on the soldered joint and then heat it up through the this wick, and as if by magic it takes it all off like that. And as you can now, that little header pin is just hanging in there by gravity again, and there it is, out. Ta-da! Simple. And that's very timely because my camera is saying I'm running out of battery. So that's it, that's the end of the demo. As well as these finger guards protecting your fingers, a pair of bent nose pliers, which I probably have spoken about before when we had a walkthrough in my workshop, is really, really useful. Because sometimes when you're building a circuit, like when I built the, the rain receiver circuit, for example, it was pretty cramped in there. and trying to get some of the bits on. You can't. I mean, my fat fingers aren't going to fit in there, are they? But using bent nose pliers like this, you can just take a resistor or capacitor or whatever it is and just gently lift it up and put it back in again in places where your fingers just will not fit. So bent nose pliers are a godsend. Now this set wasn't particularly expensive, and in some ways I wish I'd spent more. This is okay. I mean, they're spring loaded. You can see there, they're spring loaded. I mean, they're okay. I might look around for a better set as time goes by, but they will certainly do for now. So that's another thing. Now, if you've noticed the circuit board I used for, let me think, it was the MP3 player in the wireless rain receiver. There was a board in there and it had an SD card on it. Not an SD card. Yes, it did. It's an MP3 player with an SD card in it and various links all going up and down. And that looked fine. And then I found these. Now, these were, once again, from Banggood. I do sound like a walking advert for Banggood, and I've got no affiliation with them whatsoever. Well, not yet. Maybe they'll come to me when I get about 10,000 subscribers, who knows. Anyway, I found these. Now, these are little bent, pre-bent links, as you can see, of all different sizes. So instead of getting your own solid core wire and stripping the ends, all the rest of it, you get these ones and they're pre-bent for you. Now, it's the first time I've opened it up, actually, so I'm hoping they're pre-bent to proper sizes, otherwise there'd be very little point, would there? So let's stick that one in there and see where it goes. Oh yes, it does fit perfectly. Look, falling out again. So yeah, they're obviously meant for strip board then, like this, I guess. So that one fits there. Let's have a long green one. See how far that goes. That same start. Yes, look, they fit exactly. So it's a bit bent actually, that one, but look at that. So that would be an ideal thing to use if you're feeling lazy. No, I've never used them before, believe me. But it just seemed like a good thing to try out. Now, let me see where I got those from. Oh yes, let's have a look. Let's go to the browser window. There we are. So it was £2.70. I don't think I paid £2.70. Let me just check. £2.53. So what's that one? Yeah, £2.70. See, so it's gone up again, hasn't it? But even £2.70 for those final projects. I don't think I'd use these just for experimenting with, but when you're making an absolute final project or product, I think these might be quite neat and a time saver, more to the point. I mean, to be quite honest, I dread having to build proper projects, things you put in a case and have to wire up, because it just takes so long. Building it on a breadboard is pretty quick. Transferring that to strip board though is, well, it just takes, you know, a couple of evenings at least, and you've got other things to do. Well, as you know, I'm making these videos for one. Right, so that's something I just thought I'd bring to your attention for the ultimate in luxury, really. And I haven't yet used these in anger, so I will be trying them out in the very next real project, but I'm going to reserve them for a real project, not just mucking about. And I'm not going to use them for a breadboard, even though it does say that on here. Look, it does say solderless breadboard jumper cable. Well, I suppose you could use them on the breadboard and then transfer them. I suspect they're going to get damaged though, and what are DuPont cables for if not for that? Up to you, obviously, but I'm going to keep them for, well, for best, if you like, for best project, actual projects. Okay, right, that's that. Here's something else I've ordered. I'm surprised they let this through customs, really. This is a hole reamer. So you unscrew that. It's all metal. It's all very solid. And there's this rather nasty looking implement inside. Let me bring it a bit closer. As you can see, it's circular with sort of grooves or cutouts. Let me get this on the you guessed it, Banggood website. Well, they do so much stuff, don't they? Here it is, £5 a penny. Don't think I paid that. Let me just check to see how much I did pay. Hello, Benny. Benny's joining us. He's quite interested in electronics, as you know. No, it's not showing me. It was marginally less than what it says here. £5 a penny. Now, why did I buy this? What reasoning have I got for buying this? Well, here's the thing. You've got your project box and you want to drill a hole. That's step one. Okay. Benny, can you close the door behind you, please? This is a recording studio. He doesn't listen. I can't train him. Let me close the door. So you've drilled a small hole in your project box. Say, for example, you're mounting, I don't know, a 3mm LED. Now, you drill it with a 3mm drill, and it's just that fraction tight. You think this should be easier to get in than this. Well, this is where this comes in. It's basically a reamer. So you've made your hole, and you're going to push this through the case and just twist it. And of course, it is sharp, as I say, and it will just take that, I don't know, 1/10 of a millimetre off without so much as the blink. One caveat with this is that it is, of course, conical. So that the hole at the start is going to be wider than the hole at the finish. So be very careful you don't make it too wide as you're pushing this through, unlike a drill that's got the same diameter all the way down it. So, you know, if this was a huge drill, that's how wide the hole would be. But in here, it starts off small, gets big. Now, the other thing I've used for many years are these stepped drills. And they're great for drilling holes in plastic project boxes, because they come in 3 different shapes and sizes, I guess you'd say, and they're good for the bigger holes like potentiometer holes or mains holes, cable holes, things like that. Once again, you have to be very careful that you don't go up a step. Now, they're all marked, but it's not the marking that's the issue. As you drill and it gets to the next step, which they do very, very easily because they're very sharp, if you go one more than you should do, you'll end up with something that falls through the hole rather than being trapped by it. So if you had an LED mount, for example, if you make it too big, it will just fall all the way through. So you have to be a little bit careful with them, which is why it might be better to under drill it by a millimetre or so, and then use the reamer just to get that final millimetre out, because you've got more control, haven't you, with a hand tool rather than an electric one. So that's how to make holes in boxes, or at least the way I do it, and it seems to work pretty well. As I say, I'm really surprised they let this through custom. It's quite an offensive weapon, isn't it? I don't think I'll be taking that anywhere. And that goes, as it says on there, look, it goes right up to, where are we, 14mm, which is quite a large hole. 14 is quite good. I think my drill set only goes up 10, and that's massive. Right, okay, that's that. What else have I got to show you? Oh yes, you may have seen my video where I moaned at quite great length about some of the resistors I bought. They were a 5-band resistor. I couldn't really read 5-band, although I can work it out, but it's not immediately obvious what the value is to me. Unlike a 4-band, which is what I grew up with, I can read it on site. And the other thing is the colour that it was on was like a blue colour, and I just found it almost impossible to read. These, however, are 4-band resistors, and as you can see, just about anyway, it's on a very light body, and the colours, if I get them the right way around, you'll see they're a 4-band resistor, and they are easy to read at a stroke, even though some poor person has had to write the value on them again. 7.5 ohms, that one, which is that means this whole set here is in fact an E24 range, which is bigger than I've ever had. Normally I stick to E12, but E24 is much more useful because it means, for a start, these are better tolerance. These must be at least 5%. So E24 range is nice. Now I've got these also. I'm not even going to tell you where I got them from. It just sounds like I'm a walking advert. Let's see if I can actually find them. Yes, there it is. Let me just switch over. There we are. Now £2.84. Look. Oh, my mistake. Look, it's a 1%. It's 1%. 1%. Really? I can't really see that close without taking my glasses off. Right. So this is a 560 piece, 1 ohm to 10 mega ohm, quarter watt, which is ideal for little projects. You don't really want to go small. You can get smaller, but you don't really want to go that much smaller. I mean, an LED might take 20 milliamps. You start overheating. 1%, 56 values. That is brilliant. Now, I did email, or at least put a query on their website and say, look, I've seen this picture. Am I going to get what's in the picture? Basically, a nice light-coloured body resistor with 4-band markings on it that I can read. And the answer was I don't know, it didn't answer my question. Let's put it that way. So I guessed. I thought, well, £2.84. It's the price of a cup of coffee from one of these coffee houses. So I thought, if I can afford a coffee, I can afford one of these. So I did it. They came. This is the result. and I'm delighted, absolutely delighted with them. And this is what I used, in fact, for my audio amplifier for that Christmas tree project back in video 57. And it was a joy and a delight to use. Not only because I read them now, but when you put them into the circuit, you can read them afterwards as well. Brilliant. Okay, that's a surefire winner, that one. Now, what else has passed my desk recently? A few things like this that are for future projects. This is an LED ring. This wasn't, no, it wasn't from Banggood. I've no idea where it was. It's an eBay supplier. I'm just thinking about what I can do with that as a future project. I replaced the 4-line 20 by 4 LED LCD that I use for my wireless rain alarm. And that wasn't very expensive, I don't think. It's about £4, £4.50. I haven't got it up. And it does come, but you see it's missing the backpack for that. You can wire these in directly to an Arduino, but you'll be using up an awful lot of pins. There's no point. You put one of those little backpack things on, pin extenders basically. Here we are. I did a whole video about pin extenders, but this is what they give you basically. Solder that in there. I2C connections to this, and Bob's your uncle really. And I think that's. I had to get another one just so I got one in my toolbox again. I've got loads of 16 by 2s, but this is the only 20 by 4 I've got. Because you don't often need 4 lines, but I do want one in my toolbox. So that's that. Right. Final thing then. This is a useful thing when you're building projects. You can get variants of this. This is an earthing clip. So this bit, if you're dealing with sensitive components, that goes around your wrist so that it connects to this wire. This is detachable, this wire, which is good in case you walk across the room and strangle yourself. That clips on there. And then this is supposed to clip onto, well, a suitable earthing point on your project, or perhaps the negative power supply or something like that that's not switched on, and at least then you'll be earthed. Now, I've seen variants of this, and I had one in fact, where this bit here from around your wrist, as you can see, it's quite difficult to get off. It was like double-ended like this. One went on here, and the other end went on effectively, it looked like a 13 amp plug, but this just went onto the earthing socket, or the pin, the earthing pin. So the whole socket went in, but there was nothing connected to the mains live and neutral. It was just the earth. And that meant that you were earthed, which was great, but then you got this huge long wire stretching across, you know, to wherever your mains plug happens to be. And that's fine on my workbench. The sockets are deliberately designed so they're very close. But if you're working on a desk like this, where I'm doing my video tonight, you might find that a hindrance. But I would say if you're working with MOSFETs or anything with statically charged, I mean, this item here, look, I can't believe for a second that this is statically sensitive, and yet it's in a static bag, isn't it? And I suppose for the penny that it costs, I guess the eBay seller wasn't going to risk it. So even this might be damaged by static, and it doesn't often require a lot of static. I mean, you just walking on a carpet is enough to generate a few hundred volts in your hand. You know, microamps, but it's the voltage and all that that kills circuits like this. And having killed a couple of MOSFETs within the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, which I rarely do. I can't remember the last time I killed it, but these MOSFETs I literally killed just by touching them. And I realised when the first one died, I thought, well, 1 out of the batch of 10, you might expect that. When the second one died, it started to work, then died when I was fiddling about on the circuit board. I thought, time to get this out. And it was all right after that, funnily enough. So I'm just giving you a pre-warning. You can buy these on eBay as well, and use them judiciously when you think you might be handling sensitive components. Right. So don't forget, out of all this stuff, this is cheap and easy to use, and really does make a difference to your soldering. It just takes a second to solder onto circuit board with something that's clean like this, and the old flux pen only can help. Don't use this everywhere though. I mean, this is just for things that you might think are a bit difficult, like those header pins. And that helping hand, strange third hand, or whatever you're going to call it, as I say, it's early days for me yet, but so far so good. I like the fact that the ends of these crocodile clips have got some sort of heat protection, or maybe, I don't know if it's protection against heat or against the metal that it's made of. Well, it does say 125, 600 volts there. Don't know. But the fact that it's rigid-ish you know, it's pretty firm, and it is going to hold a circuit board in there. I think that's quite good. So if you're thinking about doing some stuff like that, rather than just a standard vise, I mean, I've got a vise too. I've even got a Dremel vise, one of those big ones that collapses in and out really quickly. But I find this, or have found it for my last project, really, really useful. So that's something for you to consider too. Great, okay. All we've got time for today, it's a quick video because I haven't been in the UK recently, so I'm just going to put this together. Great stuff. See you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you're finding these videos useful and interesting. Please leave comments down below, subscribe, share, and give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.